James Spader and Willem Dafoe the villain in every superhero movie?
I don't know.
I mean, he is terrifying.
Terrifying.
Now, Mikaela, today we have a very interesting topic. We are ranking the top 5 worst comic book villains of all time. Now, this could be a little bit confusing. When we say worst, we don't mean like not very good. We mean like they're the worst because they're villains. Because they're bad guys. Now, there is already a list over at ranker.com where tens of thousands of people have already voted. So throughout this episode, we're gonna be comparing our lists with the general public. What's your number 5?
No, my number 5 is Ranker's number 11. I had to put Ultron on there.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. I don't even really remember Age of Ultron or any of that.
It's the best one.
But I just remember that James Spader is so kick-ass.
James Spader's so good.
He's made to play a villain.
I know Age of Ultron gets kind of shit on. It's like kind of the runt of the litter. He's so amazing in that like I'm rooting for him a lot of it.
Yes.
This is exactly what I wanted. All of you against all of me.
What was the casting process like with James Spader? Because the obvious thing is to be like, we'll get basically Siri to play Ultron. Like, it's just automated. I just love it. I can't.
know.
Great number 5.
That's why I was like, I just had to put it on the list. What's your number 5?
My number 5 was Ranker's number 45. J. Jonah Jameson. Do you know who that is?
No.
That is Peter Parker's editor at the newspaper, played by J.K. Simmons. He's the guy I can do a great impression of. Spider-Man, hero or menace?
Menace. He was protecting that armor.
I'll tell you what, Atticus, you take the pictures, I'll make up the headlines, okay? All right?
I love this villain, and I love that it's on the list because it's like, of all the villains, this is the most realistic. He's just a cheap boss.
Could you pay me in advance?
From the get-go, even when everybody's like, Spider-Man's the greatest, he's saving all these people, he's like, let's run bad press on Spider-Man. And we don't know what his motivation is. Fantastic character, I'm pumped he's back.
My number 4 is a surprising number 67 on the list. Bane? Why is Bane at 67?
Well, which version of Bane? Because there's the,
I don't know.
I assume the Bane that we know. You never watched the I think it was the George Clooney Batman?
No.
They took this scrawny, very punk rock guy. They strapped him to a thing, put a bunch of tubes in him, and then they just filled him up with like this weird liquid until he was just like all buffed up.
I like that. See, I put Bane as my number 4 because his power is good stage presence.
Gotham, take control. Take control of your city.
And if someone can control a crowd and talk to a crowd, they have a lot more power than literally anyone else. I'm a sucker for the theatrics. I'm a big fan.
Just the scene in The Dark Knight Rises when it's the football game and there's like the little boy like singing the national anthem and they just cut to him and she's like,
That's a lovely, lovely voice.
you're like, oh my God, he's about to kill everybody. It's just so good.
What's your number 4?
My number 4 was Ranker's number 19, also from the Sam Raimi Spider-Man's The Green Goblin. A huge part of this is that the Green Goblin that I know was played by Willem Dafoe. Why aren't James Spader and Willem Dafoe the villain in every superhero movie?
I don't know.
I mean, he is terrifying.
Terrifying.
And then also like quietly hilarious in that movie as well. The thing that's a meme now, which is I'm something of a scientist myself.
Yeah.
Like the first time you see him and he's cackling like a witch, he's like, ha ha ha! He's on his glider, and then man, we need to rewatch those movies. Without that Spider-Man movie, who knows if Marvel would have happened.
My number 3 is Ranker's number 4. I decided to put Loki. He's just a little stinker, is what he is.
That's what he is. He's a stinker.
He's a little stinker. Like, I had to put him on the list because I love him. Like, one of my favorite characters of all time. But it's like, you know, he does bad things, but sometimes he does the right thing. And he's a good comic relief villain, too.
That's one of the plot holes in all the Avenger universe stuff, is that the first Avengers, Loki's obviously like, he's the bad guy. And then people loved him so much that they kind of kept on bringing him back. And then eventually it was like him and Thor had kind of like a buddy cop thing going.
Let's do get help. What? Get help? No. Come on, you love it. I hate it. It's great. It works every time. It's humiliating.
And it's like, did you guys forget that he basically did 9/11 in the first one?
I know.
He's a little stinker. Oopsies.
I don't know. He's not true villain, but he's villain. What's your number 3?
Well, my number 3 is actually, it was your number 5 and number 11, Ultron. I love Ultron so much. When you first meet him, it's like, what happened? We just got like bombed. And then all of a sudden this weird like robot suit comes out, but it's cocky James Spader. It's so weird that it's perfect, and at some point there will be a Age of Ultron re-examination. It will then become the popular thing to be like, Ultron actually is the best one.
I think we start that movement. Right now, here at Rank vs. Rank,
yes,
we're gonna do this.
Yes.
We're taking it back.
We're taking Ultron back. What's your number 2?
My number 2 is Ranker's number 14. Hela. So I just wrote a bunch of notes because I like to write notes for these things. I'm just gonna read off my notes. Absolute girl boss. Slays. Looks good while doing it, literally. Her dad and brothers couldn't take her down. Yes, queen. Like,
She's great. And really cool power. She's like a deer.
yeah, she kind of has the like Disney, like princess villain going on.
The coolest scene ever is when Thor, I think, throws the hammer at her. She catches it, which it's like, whoa, no one can catch Thor's hammer, and then just destroys it. God, it's so good. My number 2, going back to the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy. It's Ranker's number 8. It's Doc Ock, Dr. Octopus.
Okay.
This is such a good villain as well. Alfred Molina, who you might know from Boogie Nights. He is one of the lines I quote the most of all comic book movie villains, which is Peter Parker.
Brilliant but lazy.
Doc Ock is great too. He's building like this nuclear bomb, and for some reason, a big part of that is that he needs to have these octopus arms. Talk about a thing where it's like, I could definitely realistically see that happening in the future, where we have that ability where it's like, do you want 8 arms? It's gonna take some practice. It's like learning how to ride a bike.
But we can do it.
But then you can just, reach things really far away and pick up really heavy stuff.
It's pretty efficient.
Fantastic movie villain. Who's your number 1?
My number 1 is Ranker's number 5. Thanos. I enjoy a good boss level.
Yes, that's a really good point.
You know what, because it wasn't like he hasn't really been around for the entire saga of everything, even though he was, but it was like they were working their way up to the boss level.
Yeah.
And I like that. And you know what? He made some points.
You murdered half the planet.
A small price to pay for salvation.
He didn't necessarily do it with evil, but he had to be the martyr.
It was just simple supply and demand.
Yeah.
Demand is too high for the current supply that we have. Let's cut the demand. Let's literally just kind of cut a bunch of people out. Supply is plentiful. I love that because it's not like we're like, why is the Green Goblin doing this? And why is Ultron doing this?
There's a reason he's doing this.
He's just fiscally conservative.
Yeah.
Is what he is. Okay, so my number 1 is Ranker's number 3, Magneto. I love Magneto. One, he's sexy.
Sexy.
Both versions. You got the Michael Fassbender version, then you have the Sir Ian McKellen version. He's totally like right. Like he's like a really good argument. Like him and Professor X thing. Professor X being like, there's good in everybody. We'll figure out what to do, live in peace. And he's like, no. They're trying to kill us. We'll kill them first. I also just love, if you're thinking of like, okay, what is the power that would make you the strongest or the second strongest mutant? You wouldn't think the ability to control metal. Plus he's got like the most serious, deepest backstory of like, he was in a concentration camp. You want to talk about a supervillain origin story?
Yeah.
His is real. Anyway, I love Magneto. All these are also just like, if you look through it, it's the actors and actresses.
I know. We were kind of suckers for that, but.
We just love Kate Blanchett. She was so good as hell. Those were our list of worst villains. Did we miss any of your favorites? I bet we did. Let us know in the comments, or better yet, head over to ranker.com and vote your favorites, or least favorites, you know how it works, to the top.
Yeah.
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 See ya.
Bye.